And a friend of mine was going to go on and one of them down the boat.
So I got
And as she was driving down the highway, she was going in the face.
I had a few a smaller.
Oh my God, that's the missing dog. So they pulled over. She said that she must saw the hit one. You know, they pulled over, but my dog wouldn't come to her. So then she called and I'm like,
Well, somebody I'm asking them.
Oh, yeah.
What, Harris?
So she was able to like kind of corner in this field. I got to say that like we hadn't seen that because there was so much traffic down the kind of like watching that. Like later in the day, you probably would have got it. But I can't believe she didn't get. Okay. And she was okay. Not a scratch other. She was soaking wet. She was tired. She was really thirsty. But not a scratch on her. She's about 4 miles away from home. Yeah, the kids were really went into like business mode. You know, okay, I'm gonna text all my friends, they're gonna come, and then my son just like was uncontrollable. And he's like, it's too long. I go, this isn't an abducted child thing. Because dogs come back all the time, you know. But yeah, I can't imagine that all my neighbors are probably like sitting on there ringing doorbells, all these people out there with flashlights. She's home, and fireworks went off, and she.
For those of you guys joining the meeting, we're just going to give people a couple more minutes. We only have 3 Zoom in, and we have 5 in person. And if you see I changed your name on Zoom, indicated with a V, that means you're the voting member for your family.
Hello.
Hey, Clay.
Careful, watch where you sit.
Hi, Clay.
You'll face this way.
How's
There you
vacation?
go. Go right in the middle.
How's vacation?
It's all right.
I was the beach.
Not really. It was more like I was more intrigued by the trucks that they use to get out to that. Just give me 2 more minutes. Then, you know, you start and then people come in.
I know, it's a pain to let people in. Left turning.
How many times did you get the
Katie
bottom?
was out there floating.
So you're gonna get the bottom.
No, it wasn't bad. It wasn't much water. It was running all day. It was running all day. I just turned it up. I know. I was turning it all the way up.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it.
You know, I blew a hose in the pool last night, so we were on our way to the lake, kayak in our neighbor phone, and she's like, I don't know what's there's water pouring out of your pool all over the place.
Best guess, 4,000 gallons. House gas.
Okay.
And then when her husband tried to shut the filter off for us, he didn't depress the handle before he turned it, he just tried to crank it, so then it broke the handle off, so then we couldn't.
I had for our hands open today.
So whoever just joined by your iPhone, can you just indicate who you are?
Sure, let me figure that out. Yeah, okay.
Right at the top.
Oh, wait.
Mhm. Thank you. The rest of it.
Great.
We're just giving people a little time here to sign in. And you can see that once I change your name on the Zoom, it just indicates your full name and then a V, which means you have the vote for your family.
Hey, Trace. Hey. Come on in. How are you? Hello. How are you?
I do a lot of sunburned and overserved children at Publix, so.
Oh, really?
Stop by
They're
Christmas.
overserved?
Yeah,
They're
like a
drunk
lot
on
of.
ice cream? Should be a great lactate set.
Just have the crash comes at the right time.
Yeah.
It's so
Oh, this time.
great, if not, it's horrible. I can't use the big.
As you guys come in, you'll see that I'm renaming you in the Zoom. That's just to indicate your voting privileges.
Yeah,
Mhm.
we'll give them the 6:10 and we'll start. Yeah, she's good. Go away, Mom. She's a good girl. She's no trouble.
And Adam was supposed to go to everything, and then he's still playing video games. So I don't know.
Holy,
I lost. Hopefully.
holy.
No. Just like, it's like, 1/3 of what we were expecting. I'm not very good.
Letting, and then say,
No. No, the guy,
Brown belt. So resurfacing. And I think we have a. Yeah, so we.
All right, you want us? All right, ready?
Ready?
Yeah, we'll start. No, it's fine. All right. Thank you, all of you who are here on Zoom and in person. We're happy to have you. The annual meeting, the purpose really is to kind of give you a financial overview of where we're at really the end of the third quarter, essentially, because our fiscal year is not going to end until the end of August, but give you an update on where we're at now. We talk a little bit about some of the committees and what they do and some opportunities that you'll have. You can start thinking about maybe for next year areas that people might want to help out. I will do board introductions for those who are here. Clay over there, board member. Ben and Christy Presna. They're our vice president and secretary. Nicole Wakely is our treasurer. I'm the club president. Jenna Battaglia is board member, and Jen Word is board member. All right, committee reports.
Oh, if you have anything else to say.
I don't really have anything else now. I'll talk a little bit more at the end, but I think I'm good.
That's fine. Fundraising committee is headed by Jen Worden. So, moving into next season, we're kind of looking to, we've, gathered some of the feedback from the town hall meeting. We tried some new things this year, and basically looking to form a group of parents, that would be interested in, maybe starting to have a planning meeting in, August to, move forward and see where we're going with fundraising, and so anyone that's interested, you know, if they could just email me, and, I think Nicole, you did some planning with me last year, and, we could get something, a date on the calendar to do that, so,
Thank you. That sounds great.
social planning was, Doug Tagley and Kristen Ray. So Doug, do you have a couple of things to say?
So up on the slide are a few activities that we put together this year, just for ideas for next year. I always welcome new and fresh ideas, and I think the social committee maybe only got together once or twice, not too many times, but we were still able to put together a whole host of events, so anybody who's looking to contribute in that way, we would love, to get together and come up with fun things for all the families to get to know each other, and it's great for the kids outside of the pool to get together.
Officials committee is, Matt Wright is the officials chair for this year and then this coming year. We had 3 new stroke interns starting
Yep.
this year. We have one that, and then we have one that,
Susan, you're working on going to starter, right? Yeah,
and it's always, Gilbert.
yes,
She's almost graduated
Yeah.
starter. So we've got one new and then one almost. And so that's pretty good.
yeah,
We are looking for more officials for next year. So if anybody, we
always
need
looking
more.
for officials, particularly younger parents of younger children, because as our officials, as the kids get older and our officials start aging out, we need to kind of replenish from the young ones. So,
But that doesn't matter because our upper session always needs
yeah,
officials too.
yeah. So, yeah, so we'll send, I'm thinking actually I might just send an email and put, if you guys are okay with this, put everyone on one email, like have fundraising contact, social contact, officials, and then people can kind of look at all of it and figure out maybe how they want to help and contact the appropriate people that way. Just at least have people start thinking about it a little bit.
So financial overview, I can't sit still and do this, I'm sorry. This year, so we ended up, we're showing right now through the end of the third quarter. Income's 292, expenses 205, so pretty even so far, but we do know that we always have a lot of expenses and a lot less income come into that fourth quarter because we don't get a lot of registrations or anything like that. Income wise, registrations, you can see is our biggest number. Swim meets is our third, fundraising is our second, but they're pretty close in numbers. And then this is swim lessons, and then there was a lot of little, like, it was actually like almost close to 1%, 0, like, just like for sponsorship, volunteer hours, all of those. So like I said, most of our income is in right now. This swim meet does not include our summer one, our one we just had in June. But you'll see it in a number later on, so it will be a little bit higher because our meet numbers were in there. Expenses. Everybody asks where our money goes to. It goes to our coaching staff. 70% of our expenses this year so far has been there. Our swim meets is a little bit, costs us money to make money. Facilities cost is another large number that we have, just the rental of the pool and all of that. So registration numbers, Karen, you want to talk about this real quick?
Yeah, sure. So we just have the last 3 years on here just to give you a little bit of perspective. Obviously, we are, as we were last year and are going to continue to be for a while, very bottom heavy. We had a lot of graduating seniors the past few years. So our total numbers are up and growing, which is outstanding. So developmental, we've gone from 20 athletes in 2020-21 to 57 developmental athletes. We're up to 27 intermediate, we're up to 32 performance. So those numbers are huge and growing very fast. Our senior prep numbers are down. A lot of that, they're down, seniors down.
If you think about it this way,
Yes,
this group goes to this
Exactly.
group, goes to this group, kind of transitions through.
so the senior prep number being down has mostly to do with group movement. Like those, there weren't a lot of kids moving up to that group yet, but a lot of kids moved out into the senior group. So that's part of the reason that number decreased. The senior group dropping, I mean, that's just graduations. We've lost a lot lately. Our collegiate numbers are good, probably about where they were last year because it's early and we could still get a couple more. Our satellite facilities, for those of you who might be new to the club and don't know, we have 2 satellite facilities, one in Buffalo and one in Canada. So that 63 represents that. And also, I will add this while we're talking about the satellites. Some of you may not know this either, that our Buffalo location, which was formerly called Velocity, is now called Victor West. They have split Coach Jason, who you may have seen at our meets, he coaches that group. So he is now coaching. He has split off from Heidi, who we previously worked with, and is coaching. We have a new pool out there, the new Fane location. It's a beautiful pool. So he has now a real training facility, the ability to host meets. So this just happened within the past couple of weeks. So he's kind of getting things up and running out there. But we're excited for him to grow that satellite for us. And so as you can see, our total number this year was up to 238, which is, I mean, outstanding. It's a phenomenal number. Trials, we're at 81 for the year, and still 7 kids probably trialing next week. So always, kids are always coming in and trying the program, which is great.
So the invitationals, 1 day meet, 2 day meet, 1 day meet, 1 day meet, kind of gives you an idea. $40,000 coming in was total, was pretty good. In previous years, these have been a little lower. We've had some changes over the last couple of years with, COVID, when we had no meets, or a very
Yep.
limited number on how many entries we could have. So to get $10,000 out of, a 1 day meet is pretty spectacular with the
Yep.
amount that we can have on our pool deck. And then for a summer, short course yards meet, $7,000. That's actually one of our highest ones yet
Yeah, that
since we
was
started
great meet.
hosting that meet. So it was great just to have that. And it was a little more relaxed for the swimmers if you were there. So, I think everybody had a great time at that meet.
Yeah.
So
We
even
used to
if you had
average
some-
for some perspective, we used to make $2,000 to $3,000 on that meet. So, 7,000 net is really huge.
Fundraising. I know it's a necessary evil because of this number. This number is huge for us, 42,000. This really offsets how much our dues cost. Because if we had to make that up in dues and not do fundraising, it would cost each swimmer about $1,000 or like $600 more just to have that availability. So it really made a huge difference. Moving the coffee sale around, kind of, it bumped up a little bit higher. Swimathon, this was our biggest swimathon yet this year. Ever. And then the chocolate, for the fact that this includes buyouts, this number, so the numbers are a little bit skewed, but the fact that there's 0 expense for us on that chocolate, I know is a different world, but it was nice to not have any expense because they just cut us a check at the end and they took care of everything. So that was nice. And then the miscellaneous is the Super Bowl squares, the shirts at the meets, and apparel.
Just apparel and stuff,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so just a little bit, but everything helps. Again, this is why we fundraise. Expenses, like we said, payroll 71%, swim meets, and this swimming expense is including our travel. That number will go up this next 2 months. Travel is our highest expense inside the meet world. And then pool rental and fundraising. Bank balances, we've grown our bank this year, but we still, like I said, we still have a lot of expenses left. There's a lot of payroll that has to come out as of May 31st coming forward that has to come out through that. So we're still looking good. And then this number is always, we open our registrations in August. So August shows that we have more money in the bank account than we actually do, because we had about $25,000 worth of income that comes in the last week of August that shows on our balance sheet for September 1. So it's just a little bit of a fun. It almost always balances out 1 year to the next, but from a balance standpoint, we got to look at it that way. How can anybody help more? We talked about officiating, lifeguarding. I know a lot of people already do. Last year we were looking for a concessions coordinator. Are we still?
Yeah, it just fell under volunteer.
Yeah. Hospitality coordinator? Still looking for one of those? Okay.
That'd be nice.
When Christy gets tired of doing it.
Yeah. timing system and computer operator who wants to sit at the table with me all day. That's always a fun time. And helping out with fundraising, the fundraising committee, we always need more people, different ideas to come in on that. Fun fact, and Christie, 60% of our Victor membership completed their hours this year. That's pretty awesome.
Yep, so 60% completed their hours. And we're looking for more families, especially getting younger families, more involved and more on deck to help us plan our needs. So spread the wealth. Many hands make light work.
And this was also the first year that we actually tracked hours and implemented charging people, because we were supposed to do that. The first year we were supposed to do that was COVID. So then obviously we couldn't, and haven't been able to since then because we couldn't have meets and couldn't have volunteers. So this is the first year. So it's kind of, everyone's just kind of getting used to the whole idea of it, I think. And I think it will be even easier next year. People will have a better understanding of it.
And I'm certainly willing to answer questions, how to sign up, where to sign up, what jobs should I do? All the things.
Is there any questions? Mike's doing it on Zoom.
Anyone? Any questions?
Can open it up for Zoom questions too, if you have them. I'll get to them in the comments.
Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am.
I volunteer a lot, and I don't mind volunteering. I'm helping out, you know, whether I don't mind helping out, but I just want to open up discussion around the mandatory fundraising. I don't mind, like, I'll fundraise what I can, but making all three of them mandatory is to me a big extreme, especially when my daughter plays another sport and she also goes to school. So this year, I think the fundraisers, I felt almost like asking people to buy. I understand that we have to raise money, but it's like, I don't mind volunteer, I don't mind helping out where I can, but it's like, I can sell the coffee because nobody really is talking about me. So that was hard for me, so where I probably sold enough for 2 families for coffee, you know, because it was easy for me to sell that like that. I just wanted to open up a discussion about making all three of them mandatory.
So this would be a good thing for you guys to talk about too, like when the fundraising committee meets, you know, this would be a good thing to brainstorm about. So what would your thoughts be if, rather than all three being mandatory, if it was just a dollar amount raised, like all together? So like if you wanted to meet the dollar amount all from coffee, you could just do that and then not have to do the other ones.
I mean, yeah, but it's kind of, that's ideal, but and I'm not only here, everybody's not here, but we've all been discussing, and it makes it hard.
Right.
It makes it hard, and especially when we're already giving time to clubs, which I don't mind doing.
Sure.
But if the fundraising meet, if I don't fundraise, like I didn't sell something, I still have to pay. And it's kind of like, okay. All right, I'll pay it, but now I can't even fundraise for anything else, because I don't want to ask for one, and now I'm just giving free money away.
Right.
For this fundraiser, and so now I'm just not gonna fundraise. It's not fair to her other club or her school that I don't fundraise either, because I have to continue.
Right. I think the reason, so, Nicole pointed out, obviously from a financial situation like this, that income is part of our budget. So if we decrease that, then dues have to go up. There's no way around that financially. That's just what's gonna happen. So our thought is that it enables people to have a way to not have to just automatically pay. Because otherwise, we're gonna probably just have to raise dues across the board, and then everybody's gonna essentially be paying the buyout for all the fundraisers, and no one will have the ability to not do that.
And we talked about different things before too, right, like doing one event every 4 months or something, making it out like around a year versus so condensed. The majority of our swimmers are short course, so that we lose some people if we spread it that way. But that was something we discussed, too, and it gives people more breathing room.
So there's a $5 amount, right?
Right.
Possibly combining fundraisers, sort of within the same amount. Again, maybe like a flat rate tier. It doesn't matter if you sell coffee or you sell chocolate. But yeah, obviously welcome to any idea.
And splitting the two, we talked about also, like, you could increase students a little, but then if lesser
Yeah.
fundraising. There's a lot of things you can do. How much money for, file or, I don't know, how it works, I don't know, one somewhere? For family.
For family.
Family, and then how much? Over the buyout?
It's $300 total, so it's $100 per fundraiser.
So roughly, it's not exact, but if we were to scrap fundraising in general, everybody's dues would go up roughly $300. I mean, it's pretty much,
No, that's, I don't think, I'm not seeing right there.
yeah.
Being like, naturally, I'm gonna fundraise, but I may not be able to sell whatever.
The third one is, right?
fundraiser.
Yep.
So naturally, I'm gonna fundraise, because, I wanna support the team. What I'm saying is it seems not, maybe I'm not seeing the picture, things are not, previously, did they not fundraise at all? So that's why we imposed the mandatory fundraising, or?
It's been mandatory. I've never known it to not be mandatory. So for the 10 years that our kids have been swimming, it's always
The
been
only time it
mandatory.
was not mandatory was during
COVID, it wasn't.
We started it.
But,
it was
at least since 2011, when we started, it's always been mandatory. So it's not a change. The fundraisers have changed, but yeah, Deb.
I was curiosity, I like the coffee store, but what are the $10,000 in the expenses?
The cost of coffee.
So we don't get the coffee for free.
No, I understand.
So we have to pay, like, we get, X amount of dollars for a bag. So we have to pay for the rest of that. So the $10,000 is what we're
That's coffee that everybody bought.
The proceeds.
right.
Or we could just take the line item like we did with the chocolate. Yeah.
Yeah, just subtract, just subtract it.
out.
Exactly.
Yes, $10,000 profit.
So.
Yeah.
Top of the $10,000.
Yeah.
But I do like the idea, the fact that, like, especially if you have other clubs that you're fundraising for, because I have an athlete in other clubs that have to do stuff that, obviously there's people coffee that if we put out, like, maybe to go a larger amount of that and then not have to worry about the chocolate part of it, because people have different times of the year where some people were really successful with the chocolate. It was easy for them to just send out a mass, email, with the testing, but some people are really successful with chocolate, so.
I really like that idea, what you said, if we had an idea of the beginning of our season and say, okay, these are our fundraisers, and this is what the buyouts are, and then if it's okay to do that, and then if I didn't have to sell chocolate when I'm doing Girl Scout cookies,
Right.
that would be super helpful if I can sell more coffee earlier on. I mean, if that's okay, because I actually, it's the same concept as doing the volunteer hours. If I see them right
Yep.
away.
Yep.
And then I wouldn't sign up, and that's why I would go to you guys like, oh, do you need anybody? Because I didn't want to take it away from somebody that needs the hours.
Exactly.
I mean, I don't mind, I don't mind
Yep.
doing it, but I don't want to.
Sure.
I mean, if that's an option.
I think it's important for us to consider putting out a yearly calendar at the beginning of the year so that people can plan out when our fundraisers are and how it fits with their other schedules. So that's certainly something that we can do.
Yeah, we can do that, if we can all, if we were able to sell all the funds, and get to the fundraising mark, if that's okay.
Yeah. Yeah, the swim-a-thon is the one that probably is not, like, that is something that the kids should be participating in. I mean, USA Swimming encourages it. So kind of taking that out, but talking about like the selling of things.
Yeah, no.
I think we could definitely, I don't see why we couldn't do that. It really doesn't matter. So if people have a preference for one
Just say
thing.
there would be a buyout charged at the end of the season as opposed to
Correct.
per
Yeah.
fundraiser.
Yeah. So, yeah, Dee, I think it's a good idea. And I don't know if you had walked in yet when Jen was saying that she's gonna try to do a meeting of anyone interested in fundraising, being part of that in August, kind of ahead of the season starting. So that would be great. If you want to be a part of that, that would be great.
We have a question on Zoom. Are we tracking the percentage of trial swimmers who join, and do we know that number from year to year?
I can't tell you the percentage right now off the top of my head, but it's extraordinarily high. Basically, in the past 2 years, almost every trial swimmer has joined, unless there were circumstances. We've had some who just can't, they're not ready. I mean, we had to refer them to lessons because they just weren't at the appropriate level. So aside of those kids that were just not ready yet, almost all of them have joined. There were a couple who had too many other commitments. Their kids were already in 4 other sports and they decided, no, it was just not a good fit. But there has not been one family who hasn't joined for any reasons within our control. If there was anything, it was just the child not ready, or, they couldn't find the time to do it, basically. So much, much higher. We used to be significantly less than 50%. Probably we tracked for a long time, like 30 to 40%. And so, yeah, significant improvement.
Okay.
Anything else?
Nope.
Any other questions here? So this brings us to the next thing that we are supposed to be doing at our annual meeting. And so we sent an email vote out about this in, I think, May or June, about the quorum. So the dreaded quorum. So as we explained in that email when we asked for a vote on this, so it did not pass because it needed to be unanimous, which is how email voting works. So if you are trying to take action without a meeting, you can, but every single person has to vote in favor of it. So we had an overwhelming majority voted to change the quorum, but it was not unanimous. So that did not pass, which means our quorum is still what it has always been, which is 2/3 of the membership, which is ridiculous. And there's no organization in the world that uses a quorum this high, but you're stuck because the only way to change the quorum is to have a quorum to change the bylaws. So you're just stuck in this cycle. So for example, the quorum that we needed today was 128 families here or on Zoom. So these are the next steps. So that we were supposed to be voting on two actions today and then doing our board elections. So the first thing was a vote, and we talked about this on the town hall. I'm not sure all of you were on that, but so the first vote was to change our bylaws to name our head coach and program director, currently Mike, the CEO of the club. So that has been the goal. It kind of got delayed because of COVID. So that's the point we're at now, that this is what we're moving towards. We cannot vote on that today because we don't have a quorum. So we're gonna attempt to vote by email again. Has to be unanimous. So I don't know. I don't know where we stand on that. We'll see what happens and then we'll go from there. For any of you who weren't on the town hall who don't know, so currently in our bylaws, the board president is the CEO. It made sense at the time the club was formed. It was really like a school, kind of an extension of the school program intended to bolster school swimming. And Keith Shield, did a phenomenal job with this program. This is not his full-time job. He was a teacher and he did this on the side. We're obviously in a very different situation now where we have Mike and Dan, both 2 full-time coaches. So virtually all of the top clubs in USA Swimming have their program director and head coach as a CEO. It's really unheard of for it to not be that way. So that's why we're trying to make that move. So to address that, look for an email and we're going to try to do an email vote and we'll see what happens. The other thing we were going to try to vote on today is we wanted to try to re-vote on the quorum change. Because if we had a quorum, it's a simple majority. It doesn't have to be unanimous, simple majority, which I know would pass based on the email vote. We were recommending 10%. We talked about this. the two biggest organizations in our sport, USA Swimming and ASCA, the American Swim Coaches Association, their quorum definition is actually whoever shows up to the meeting. Like, that's how loose
For
it
good
is.
reason.
Because, right, because you just can't do any business otherwise. So our goal was to do 10, that is the New York State minimum. And obviously you're always hoping for more, but at least it ensures that hopefully you can do what you need to do. So the next step to have that happen now is, now that we've had a meeting, had our annual meeting again, I can petition the state of New York, the Supreme Court of the state of New York, to change our quorum. So it's kind of complicated, and it's gonna involve sending a bunch of stuff in, and it's probably not gonna be a quick process, I don't imagine. But that's gonna be our next best bet to get that quorum changed. The other thing I would like to change, but we have to change the quorum first, is we can change the bylaws and the articles of incorporation. If the membership votes, we can change that. There's a little loophole that would allow us to do email votes without unanimous consent. So if the articles of incorporation specifically say that you don't need unanimous consent for email, you can vote that way, which would make it so much easier for us, obviously, because our own membership right here in Victor, it's hard to get in one place. And then we have Canada, and then we have Buffalo. So, I mean, email is the simplest thing. So down the road, that's something that we would like to look into that might make voting easier for. And then in terms of board elections, cannot vote on that either without a quorum. So according to the bylaws, the new candidates will be appointed by the board, because that's what happens if you can't have a legal election. So the 4 candidates, which we've been sending the bios out, we're very excited. It's a great group of individuals who are really excited about what they can do for this organization. So Kristen Thorness, Christina Caldwell, Brandon Lee, and then Nicole is going to do another term to kind of help from a treasurer standpoint, kind of help transition over as we start bringing these new people on.
We should open up for questions on the quorum.
Absolutely.
Anybody have any
Questions on anything? So I know that's a lot to kind of process. So are there any, does anyone have any questions about any of that? Anyone on Zoom have any questions?
We're just starting to get some questions.
Oh, did you know, Karen, where there's people that just didn't respond, it was the majority?
Oh, yeah. Oh, so, yeah, I was trying to, when they say unanimous, we were prepared to accept whoever answered had to say yes. Because you can consider a non-response no different than an abstention, basically. Like if you were in person, people can abstain. So a non-response, an email can be considered an abstention because you gave them the opportunity, they just didn't vote either way. So we're just talking about the people who responded. Yeah, we only got, I think it was, how many was it, 40? In the 40s in terms of a response at all. And then a few of those were not in favor. But even like the return in general was incredibly low. 20%, roughly 20%, which is why we want the quorum number that we did. That's why we were shooting for 10%. And again, it's not, we don't want to limit anything to 10%. You could, ideally 100% membership will be there, but at least it makes sure that we can actually do what we need to do. Or did you just say there's an online question?
Yes. Would we have even hit 10% tonight?
Would we have hit 10% tonight?
I think you can answer the question.
Correct.
No, I said, I'm sorry, I was talking about the email. Tonight, how many do you have?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And one of them's Laura, so you can't count Clay.
18.
It would have been off the one.
It would have been off by 1.
We were off by 1% tonight.
One
Joan.
person.
One person, not percent.
No, that's not true. Alexander's dad left, so yes.
Yes.
As long as the quorum is present when the meeting begins, it stays, even if the person leaves before the vote. So yes, we would have. But that's why we pushed so hard for 10. Because we had discussions in the board, well, why don't we do 20? Why don't we do 30? And it was my concern, honestly, like for this reason, like it's just safer to do 10 and then it's the best you can do. I mean, they can't go lower than that legally and you wouldn't want to go lower anyway. But even 20 in this day and age, it's just people are busy and it's hard. So yeah, we would have been okay tonight. Anything else?
Nothing.
Anybody else? Nothing?
Obviously, the no's probably were questions, unanswered questions. Should we maybe open this up before possible new date for another Q&A session because there's so few people on right now?
For which,
For the quorum.
yeah, I don't even think we should bother sending another email out about that. I think we should probably just go through the state at this point. I mean, we could. You know, I did have people, email, I had a couple people email when we sent that out for the vote, they emailed me to ask like more. I mean, I thought we explained pretty well in the email that we sent, but I had a couple people email for clarification, which was good, because then we had a little back and forth before they voted, and then they were like, oh, okay, now I understand.
So maybe it's worth sending it out again. It sounds like it's a pretty lengthy process for you to go through.
We can
And it
try.
doesn't really take much to send out.
I mean, we're gonna send it out for the CEO anyway.
Right.
So we're gonna send that out for a
Too
vote.
much to say before you vote no, can you call one of us? I want to make sure you really understand it.
Yeah, I mean, we can certainly say, if you have questions, please reach out before voting. Because once you cast your vote, you cast your vote. If you can't, even if you realize, like, oh, I didn't really understand, it doesn't matter. Like, once you
We're just hearing
cast it.
written evidence today.
So yeah, we can try, we'll do them both. And then we'll see what happens.
Can we help like calling people, texting people, like to encourage people? I don't know if we're allowed to have email. Like, I don't know if you could say, oh, can you take this list and can you encourage people to vote one way or another?
You can go in the stand.
I mean, you can,
You can go in the stand and talk to every single person in the stand.
So we want a positive vote.
Right. But you can go through and say, hey, have you voted? When the voting is open, hey, have you
And if
voted?
have any questions?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the more people that understand what it is and what the purposes of it and why. It's up to you. There's not really to make, big changes. It's like, so we can like just move forward.
right,
Well, we're sitting here, we can't even.
right, exactly, which is why we tried to do it preemptively to make sure this didn't happen.
Yeah, no, I know.
So, yeah, so you can do that. You can post on Facebook and say, on our page and say, hey, make sure you vote. So yeah, whatever anybody can do. Yeah, anybody can post on the Facebook page. You can post on there.
Right.
Just a reminder. Hey, just a friendly reminder.
Oh,
So, yeah, so I think if we ask people to reach out before voting, if they're just not sure, most people probably have we've done it once, so, yeah.
Would it be legitimate for a vote if you did it because of the cost? And so if you sent out email and said, if you object to this, that, and then the consumption can don't apply immediately.
By acclamation. I don't know if that holds up.
I don't know that it holds up either. I don't think it would hold up.
You're gonna have actual penalties.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, we were prepared to let non-responses just be extensions. I mean, there's some thought out there, it's a hot topic and everybody has different opinions of legally what it is. But in New York State, it's very clear. that it has to be unanimous, it's just what the definition of unanimous is. Like, does that mean everyone has to respond? And most organizations practically will, people who don't respond are discounted as abstentions, and that does not mess up, the unanimous. But anybody that responds does have to be in favor. So, yeah, I say try again and see, hopefully we can get it through, which would make things a lot easier moving forward. We've been talking to Niagara about this for a long time, and the Niagara admin said to me, why on earth is your quorum 2/3? I said, I don't know, like, we none of us were here, we didn't make it 2/3, and he said, can't do anything. So we just need to try to get it. And if it doesn't work, I think we can do it through the state. It's just gonna maybe take a while and probably not be a super fun process. So if we can get people to just agree, otherwise that would be easier for sure. Anything else on there? No. Anybody else? All right. That's it. Thank you so much. If anyone has questions, email me or come find me. I'm always here, so. Or if anyone has questions, have them email me or come find me. I'll happily explain anything that seems confusing. All right. Thanks so much.